Hey guys, it's Tyler McKinney back here again, and today we're going to get back into the XFL football. If it's your first time here, thanks for coming and watching the video. If you're a return viewer, thank you for coming back and consuming some more content. All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. The question is, do you think the XFL salaries are way too high? Do you think that they're okay? Or do you think that they're way too low? Well, according to one XFL player, it's just way too low for him, and that he decided that, you know what, I'm just going to decide not to play. And so he's deciding to take his talents elsewhere and do something different, and that the pay that the XFL is going to be paying is just too low for him. So Corey Vereen is deciding to not play in the XFL. He was drafted by the LA Wildcats. He was drafted in the third phase. He was drafted in the 8th round of the defensive ends, defensive line, defensive tackles, and the linebackers phase. So the defensive front 7 phase is where he was drafted. If you remember him, Corey was a guy who played at Tennessee. He was a defensive end for Tennessee. And then he spent a little time with the New England Patriots in 2017. And then he played this past year with the AAF team, the Memphis Express. And so he's on the Memphis Express team. And so let's get back to that salary thing. So let's go ahead and let's kind of break this down a little bit. So the XFL salary, the XFL came out a couple weeks ago and said that they're going to be paying the players the average player is going to be making about $55,000 a year. Now, how do they get there? Well, what they get there at is that the players are going to get a base salary of around $27,000. And then on top of that, if they're on the active roster, they're going to get an active roster, weekly roster of about $1,600. And then if their team wins, then they're going to get around $2,200 for each win that their team has. So that's roughly going to come out to, if you take 5 wins, so a team goes 5-5, and take all of those bonuses that they add on top of that, that's where you get the average of $55,000 a year. So if they don't win, their team doesn't win any games, they're roughly going to get around $43,000 a year. Okay, so that being said, that's what you're looking at. So you have that on one hand, and then on the other hand, you had the AAF salary. Now, the AAF salary was completely the same across the board. Now, granted, they got, and roughly between the 3 years, they were going to average out about $85,000 a year. So I think it was like $75,000 for the first year. I think, don't hold me to that, but I think that that's what it was, if I remember right. And then, throughout the course of that 3-year contract, it averaged out to be about $85,000 a year. But so if you're looking at that, it's a little bit different. However, the key here is that if you've been paying attention to the XFL, they have pay tiers or a pay structure. So the better you are, the more you're going to get paid. So these guys that are getting drafted, yeah, they're going to get quote unquote the base salary, but the fact of the matter is if you play well and you do well, not only are you going to make more money, but you're going to be able to make more money than what you would have in the AAF. The fact of the matter is that they sign these tier 1 quarterbacks, and these tier 1 quarterbacks are making, some of them probably 3 times what a quarterback in the AAF would have made. That's pretty decent money, if you ask me. And so when I'm looking at this, it's kind of one of those things to where if a guy really wants to play and he's really into it and does really well, that he can really make some money for himself. However, if a guy's just going to be on a roster and just going to make a roster and do that, obviously the AAF model was better for him because, hey, you're on the team, everybody makes the same amount. It is what it is. So, it's kind of a toss-up. Now, Corey, where he was drafted and the way that it's looking like, that he was, if you figure it all, he was probably drafted in right about the middle. And looking that probably he would have been a guy that would have got some playing time might have been rotated in and out, and that's usually how a lot of defenses run these days is they rotate guys in and out, especially on the line. And so he would have definitely got a great opportunity to play and make a name for himself, and possibly even play well enough to get himself back in the NFL and make some money. And that's really the opportunity for these guys, is to really not only play, but play well and have the opportunity to make more money in the XFL and also make more money in the NFL. The way I'm looking at this as this is an opportunity across the board for people to come in, play a sport that they love, and then to move up and either make more money in the XFL or move on to the NFL. When I'm looking at this, I look at it this way. I'm thinking it's really going to be about 3 years before the XFL is really going to make any money. And I think that probably if they can make it to year 4 and year 5, I think that the guys that are in the league are going to be making decent amount of money, to where it would be better for you to play in the XFL than it would be to be on a practice squad, because I think that you're going to be making more money by that time. And who knows, maybe the XFL takes off this year, especially with the TV deals that they have and all of the resources that Fox and ABC/ESPN are putting into they're trying to put into their product. That this thing actually could make some decent money right off the bat, to where guys might actually make more money next year. So I think it's a really good opportunity. And listen, it's business. This is how the business world works. It isn't just a one size fits all. That's not how capitalism works. That's not how our business model works. If you have something that somebody wants, people are going to pay for that. And if you don't, people are not going to. That's just the way it is. And so for the XFL to be set up with a proper business model makes total sense. Vince McMahon is a businessman at the end of the day. Does he want to put a good product of football out there? Yes. But the fact of the matter is he's put his own money on the line, and he's investing in these players. And really, if you do well for him, he's going to pay you. If you don't, he's not going to. And the thing is, you need to sit down at the end of the day and look at it. Is $55,000 a year worth it to you? And, Corey's saying that it's not. And, which is totally fine. Now, there's some other things floating around in the article that they were throwing around $75,000 a year when they were doing these showcases and stuff and that. But, if you remember about, I don't know, was it a few weeks ago or whatever, they came out and, they were pretty transparent with the agents of these players about how much they were going to make. And, so they knew what they were going to make. Now, that $75,000 a year thrown around, I don't know, that's just hearsay. That's what they were saying. And really, that could be what some of these guys are making. Because remember, it's a tiered system. So they're just saying that the average player, which most of the players are going to fall in that lowest tier. But you've got guys that are going to be in those other tiers that are going to be making more money than that. So, you're just going to have to take it like that. The real question now is whether or not that Corey Vereen is going to be a one-off, or if he's going to become, the rule. I think he's more going to be, somebody that is going to be a one-off. I think that the other guys understand, and that he's just going to be one player that's going to come out, and that this is just a story that people are taking because the XFL is just hot right now. And that's just kind of the take that I have, and that it's an opportunity for, the media to gravitate and look at the XFL and talk about it. I really don't think that, this is going to be the situation. I don't think that he's going to be, the first, he's going to be the first one to fall, and the rest are going to come flooding out after him. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that he's going to be a one-off. I think the rest of the guys are looking at this as an opportunity to play the game that they love, to continue playing the game that they love, to make some money playing the game that they love, and have an opportunity to move on to bigger, better things, whether that be in the XFL or whether that be in the NFL. And that's just kind of the way that I look at it. And, I'm really curious to see what happens. But in all honesty, I think that he's just going to be one of the few that are going to choose this way. I think the other guys are going to, stick with it and go with that. But again, those are my thoughts. The question is what do you think? Do you think that the salaries are good? Do you think that they're, not enough? Do you think that they're just right? Do you like the pay structure? Do you not? I'd really love to hear your comments. You guys come up with some awesome things, and I love interacting with you down in the comments section. You guys, like I said before, you guys come up with these things that I never would have thought of, and you kind of make me think of these things, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. And so I love the fact that you guys pick up on the things that I miss, and it's awesome, and I love interacting with you guys in that. So I really do appreciate that. So, leave me some comments down in the comment section, and we can have a discussion about this. All right. Well, I know that you're busy, and I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. You have a good night. All right.